the Chatman, and I'm with Citizens for Excellence and Elected Leaders. Tonight, we're here with District 2 candidates running for this council seat of the city of South Fulton. First of all, I want to thank all the guests for coming today. I want to thank my guests. This is my guest tonight. All these candidates, thank you. I want to thank the man of this house, Pastor Chris. I want to thank my moderator, Miss Kathy Adams, and Pastor Joe Flint. Let me do a little housekeeping rules. During this forum, I need all phones on silent. All phones on silent, no clapping, no yelling, no applauding. If you keep the talking down, because the camera picks up everything, and we're live streaming. Next, candidates, gave you a message through your email, and I hope that you feel that obligation. Anybody that need to go to the bathroom is there. We have water. Last week, Tuesday, it was overpacked. Bathroom downstairs if you need to go downstairs. Tonight, we're gonna hear from these candidates. We want to be respectful of the candidates. The candidates have, I have cards. So anybody that want a question, I will give you my card with the logo on it. Any cards that don't have that logo will not be accepted. And so I'm going to turn it over to my moderator, Ms. Kathy.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome again to the City of South Fulton District 2 Candidates Forum, and welcome to our visiting audience and our virtual audience. And so we're going to have a really good time this evening. Want to make sure that we hear from each of the candidates that's vying to run for the District 2 council seat. And they're going to share with you why they think they are the better candidate. And you'll determine that in the November election. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started and kind of go from there. I want to share with you a little bit about the forum, the structure of the forum. So following the rules, the housekeeping rules for this evening's forum. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for an opening statement. They'll have 1.5 minutes to respond to questions. And we do not comment on another candidate's questions. This is not a debate, this is a forum. There will be 2 minutes for a closing statement for each of the candidates. The moderator will choose in random order to ask the questions of he or she, whichever candidate. You will get the same number of questions, but you may not get the same question. So you have to pay attention. And so that is designed so that as an elected official, you sometimes have to speak off the cuff. You can't go back to the office and go check with staff and ping somebody and text somebody. You have to speak from the heart and you have to listen to your constituents. So we want to give you that same platform. This is the same candidates will receive again the same number of questions, but not the same. The timekeeper will sound the time. We'll let you know when your time is up. Clock is here, so you can see it front and center. And we'll take questions from our in-person audience as well as our virtual audience. And so those virtual questions will come in to the other moderator, Pastor Joe, and I, and we will read those questions. If the questions are similar in nature, we are not going to ask the same question 10 different ways. So my audience do know we are not being selective about the questions. We are not asking the same question 10 different ways. We are giving the candidates a fair opportunity to answer a variety of questions. And so it is our hope to ask a variety of questions this evening. So again, random order at our discretion, we will ask the questions. I'm now going to turn it over to Pastor Joe, and he's going to share some additional information.
Thank you, Kathy. And again, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the City of South Fulton Candidates Forum. In this year's Candidates Forum, we had a number of candidates qualified for this leadership role, 9 to be specific. This evening, we will hear from the qualified candidates that reside in the City of South Fulton seeking the leadership position of council member. As a gentle note, ladies and gentlemen, all candidates have been invited to participate in this evening's forum. Each candidate will share information with you about themselves and their 2025 campaign platform. So without further ado, I think we'll move right into the introduction of our candidate.
We'll just hold it just one moment. I'd like to acknowledge our elected officials that are in the audience, and I do see a couple, so if you will just stand and I see State Representative Sheila Jones, I see a councilwoman, two councilwomen, so we have three. Thank you so much for attending. We certainly appreciate all that you do for us.
Thank you. So at this time, in no specific order, but in alphabetical order. As I look back at it, I apologize. And please forgive me, ladies and gentlemen, if I mispronounce your name. But we want to start with last name Alexander. So how do you say Quasar? Quasar, okay, Mr. Quasar Alexander, please give us your introductions.
You have 2 minutes and the timekeeper will start. Wow.
Hey, South Fulton, I'm Quasar Alexander. Actually moved to Atlanta area about 12 years ago. Actually helped create C.E.E.L Roasted Brandy with Brandy Norwood. And I've been over to Southeast United States for maybe the last 10 years or so. But I recently got laid off last year from C.E.E.L Rosa. It's a lot happening in that industry and a lot of industry. And by doing that, actually, I was able to come back home and live in my community because I've been traveling 13 states for the last 6 or 7 years. Coming from Dallas, I actually graduated in Texas with an interpersonal communication degree. I am not a politician, but I can tell you I know people. I went to school for people. I love people. I study people. I know nonverbal communication. I know how to read people. What I've done in my career, I'm 44 years old. I've walked in offices with some of the biggest people, C corporations, and also in the community. I've been a part of Mapleton Improvement Coalition at MIC. Before they became a city, we actually worked on helping Mapleton become a city. And that's about maybe back in 2015. So I was going to actually stay in Mapleton, but there was a lot of townhomes in Mapleton. I didn't want a townhome. So I started coming to South Fulton and saw a lot of beautiful homes over in District 2. So that's what pretty much brought me to South Fulton. And when I got here, I found it to be a jewel. You know, it's something that I did not know existed. And I had been in Atlanta for at least 5 or 6 years before I even knew about this area. So I think that we need to put, we need to show that we need to put limits. I mean, we need to put, what I was trying to say, we need to put city limits and signs on our city so we know where we are when we come to South Fulton. There's not one place in South Fulton we can take a picture and say, this is our city, you know? So what I want to do for South Fulton is what I've done my whole career.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Next, we'll move to Mr. Ken Austin.
Hello, South Fulton. Thank you all for having me here. My name is Dr. Ken Austin, and I am a leader by nature. I'm an educator by trade. I've been in education for 26 years, serving as a coach for 26 years, and I've served in every position you can imagine in the school building. With that being said, my time in the schoolhouse is coming to a close, and it's time for me to transition and to lead my community. Although I haven't been out front, been in the back, and it's time now for me to step forward and lead. Not in the schoolhouse, but in my community. And I'm here, ready to engage in the fight, push your agendas forward. I know you keep hearing over and over and over, I'm not a politician, so I don't have any political accolades to even state. So with that being said, please remember me in about 10 weeks and vote for your voice, Dr. Ken Austin.
Thank you so much, Mr. Austin. Next, the Jairus Blackstone. I apologize. Dow.
Hello, my name is Araba Dowell, and I would be honored to be your District 2 South Fulton City Council representative. My husband and I have called South Fulton home for more than 20 years. We love it here, and we're committed to seeing it grow and thrive. I'm running because throughout my career, I've been doing this work anyway, at a national level and regional level. When I'm walking the streets, knocking on doors, talking to businesses, I'm hearing you. I hear you say you want more diverse options closer to home. Small, that means restaurants, shopping options. Well, that is what I do for a living. My background is in economic development. My background is in helping small businesses. I have the relationships with owners of restaurants and retail, as well as corporate C-suite executives. But when you talk about attracting higher wage jobs, you want to make sure you have some good relationships when you pick up the phone. I have that. I'm a candidate who has actually done the work. I've brought jobs to Georgia, whether it's manufacturing or what have you. I've worked in economic development with DeKalb County and other municipalities. So when I hear my neighbors speak on things that they would like to see, that is my background: tech, innovation, change management, economic development. But I ran because I feel like we need more emergency medical services. In the 8 cities that comprise our Fulton County areas, so the city of South Fulton is a main corridor. And I want to be in the room to be an advocate to bring those resources here because we're right next to the world's busiest airport and we deserve it. So I'll tell you this, come November 4th, please remember to vote for Araba, Do Well Dowell. Bring your mom, your aunts, and all those kids who always ask for Cash App and PayPal to the polls. Thank you.
So next we'll move on to DeJaris Glasgow.
Good evening, neighbors. My name is DeJaris Glasgow. It's an honor for me to be here before you. Before we get started, I do want to thank our moderators, Reverend McNary, Ms. Damita Chatman, for having us this evening and gathering us all together to have an important conversation regarding District 2. To tell you a little bit about myself, I am a native from Charleston, South Carolina. I have been in Georgia for the past 10 years. And during that time, one of the things I've always stuck with me was how I was raised. That service is a responsibility, and it's also a part of your driven core. As a wife, a mother, a caregiver, and a community advocate, I truly understand the needs and responsibilities that District 2 specifically needs to enhance. For the past decade, my job and responsibility as a global HR leader has been primarily working with Fortune 500 companies, senior advisors on how to fix issues, drive fairness, put in compliance, and make sure that opportunities are for those in those places of high. One of the things I always like to share with everyone that is a proud highlight, I know people say parenting, I'm a proud graduate of HBCU, Johnson C. Smith University in Charlotte, North Carolina, as well as Tulane Law School with a master's in jurisprudence and labor law. I'm running for District 2 City Council because it is time we have leadership that is transparent, accountable, and action-driven. And what does that mean? Priorities that are looking at driving economic growth in our area, ensuring that public safety is put first, and making sure that we're improving the quality of life and strengthening our guidance for our area. The last thing I will leave you with, if I have a few moments, is tonight, I hope that I can leave you with 3 things. 1, that I provide you with the knowledge and demonstrate that I have what it takes to be in this role. 2nd, the vision that I have for District 2. And last but not least, that I can apply those together and provide real results. Your candidate, DeJaris Glasgow.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And next we'll hear from candidate Aaron Johnson.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Aaron Johnson, and I want to be your next District 2 City Council person. First, again, I'd like to say thank you to Damita and the C.E.E.L team for putting this forum together, and to the pastor for having us here tonight. We truly appreciate you. One thing I want everybody to understand, we have very, very, very important decisions to make in November. It's not just District 2, but the decisions that we make in November are going to be the decisions that push our city forward. We are coming up on 8, we're right now at 8 years old. We're coming up on 10, that's a par for us. That's a time that people are going to sit back and look at us and say, what have you done? What have you been able to accomplish in 10 years? Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that I am the candidate that would be best suited to help us move into that 10-year time period. I'm the only candidate up here that has worked on every level of government. I've worked in City Hall, in Fulton County government, at the state capitol, and in Congress. I am also someone who has spent a lot of time working in my community. I didn't decide to start working in my community because I wanted to run for office. But if you go back the last 20 years, right here in South Fulton, even before we were a city, I have been working in our community to make our community better. I spent my time working as the elections on the Fulton County Election Board. I served 8 years making sure that we can secure your right to vote. For the last 7 years, I've served as chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the city of South Fulton, protecting us from businesses that do not want to follow our rules. Again, my name is Aaron Johnson, and I promise you, if you elect me, I will make you and this city proud.
Thank you very much. And next we'll hear from our candidate, Stephanie Gaines.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
I'm attorney Stephanie G. Johnson, and I was raised right here in South Fulton, way before it was the city of South Fulton. And I've seen this, I've had the opportunity to see South Fulton evolve at different phases of my life. As a kid, I grew up going to Vacation Bible School right here in this building. As a teenager, I graduated from Westlake High School. And as a young adult graduating from law school, I moved back home. And now, as an adult that's an attorney, an advocate with over 10 years of experience and a caretaker for my mother, I live here now. One thing that has remained true throughout all this time is that we don't have the basic services that we deserve. I'm going to tell you a story. My junior year of high school, I went to Westlake High School off of Union Road. My junior year, we were on a band trip. We were coming back from the band trip and we had to go down Union Road. Now, if you're familiar with Union Road, it's a dark road with a patch of sidewalks and a patch of streetlights. We made it to the school and everybody got off the bus and went home safely. The next day, we got the news that one of my bandmates, classmates, was in a one-car collision. And she didn't survive. And over 20 years later, I can say that the city, Union Road is in the same situation. It still has a patch of sidewalks and a patch of streetlights. In fact, when I was on my way here, I saw people running on the street, jogging for practicing for a marathon. And it's just not safe. I'm running for our kids who walk these streets. I'm running for our seniors who rely on those streetlights, and I'm running for a community that raised me and taught me to speak up for what is right.
Thank you so very much. Next, we'll move to candidate Connie Roberts. I'm sorry, Pennye Webster Lewis.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Pennye Webster Lewis. And before I tell you a little bit about me, I too want to thank this Decision Point Ministries and Pastor Chris and Damita and the C.E.E.L team for putting this on. But I also want to thank all of you that took time out of your schedules to be here, showing us that you're engaged citizens and you want to be a part of the election process, as well as those who are watching. It's really important that we're all engaged. And I also want to thank my fellow candidates, because our district's in good shape, because you have qualified individuals that are willing to put themselves out there to serve the community, and I'm one of them. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I am first and foremost a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. I've raised children, and I'm raising children, grandchildren here in the city of South Fulton. It's important to me that our city moves forward. But also, I am a former Army major. So I spent nearly 20 years between active duty, reserve, and National Guard serving our country as a military police officer. So I understand discipline, order, integrity, duty, and country. And for now, South Fulton. I'm also a soon to be retired U.S. Department of Labor executive. I was overseeing the Job Corps program, 124 Job Corps centers nationwide, with the oversight for 26,000 students. So I understand uplift, being able to uplift your community, to help people to grow and thrive. And this city is primed to do that, to help all of us go forward. In addition to that, I'm a 47-year member of the first sorority, Divine Nine sorority, and I've served as the president of the interest group that bought that chapter here.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Lewis. Next, we will have Connie Roberts.
Can't have you? Okay. I'll make sure it's working. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming out and thank Ms. Chatman and Pastor and everyone, Ms. Adams for facilitating this forum. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, we only got 2 minutes and now I'm down to 1 and 42 seconds. So I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. I actually started working for the federal government in the 80s, and I did more than 35 years. I retired in 2018. So my experience encompasses strategic planning and oversight, program management, security and safety operations. I've also been a national realtor, and I've had various roles in municipal governance. As a civilian, I had an accountability program spanning all 50 states and Puerto Rico. My efforts received recognition from Congressman Steny Hoyer, so much so that he actually made a trip to my office to meet me. I also work with Treasury Inspector General and the General Accountability Office for audit operations to help detect fraud, waste, and abuse. I led a team across department operations throughout the divisions where we worked 146 to 157 audits every year. Since relocating to South Fulton in 2009, I have established roots here in the community, and this is where I serve. My youngest son graduated from Westlake High School. I am a third-generation homeowner, and I have established an HOA collaboration group because anybody that's in HOAs, you know we need some help. So with our HOA collaborative effort, we do things like monthly meetings and peer consultations. We've also, have focus groups where we help communities that are transitioning from their developer. We also help when they're having financial troubles. And since we all generally have management companies and attorneys as part of our community staff, we collaborate to get the assistance that we need.
Thank you. And certainly, last but not least, Ms. Joy Treadwell.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Joy Treadwell. I am a resident of South Fulton, and I'm a 20-year educator, 10 of those years being in senior leadership. I'll share with you that the reason I'm writing is deeply personal. Having lost my partner this past December, the average emergency response time in South Fulton is anywhere between 10 and 13 minutes. His time was double that. I am running today because what's most important to me is I know that this community deserves better. As a person who has spent so much time supporting this community, supporting educators, what I want you to know that I'm most passionate about is being able to make sure that we have the services that we deserve, but also that we listen to our residents, but move beyond listening. I've had the privilege of talking to several residents, not just for this campaign, but what I've heard is a ton of ideas. And what I know to be true is that while we have listened to our residents, there's been no shortage of feedback at zoning meetings, at council meetings, at HOA meetings when our representatives show up. And now it's time to shift from listening to doing. I'm a results action-oriented leader. I also serve as the CEO of a company who is nationally serving children across the country. What is most important to me, to the team that I lead, is that we believe that everyone makes mistakes, but we don't make the same mistake twice. This November, as every person on this candidate has shared, we are choosing South Fulton to be our home. I joke with people that I chose South Fulton to be my forever home and to be my husband, and I did both. And what I want you to know is that this community has supported me in ways, and all I want to do as your elected councilwoman is return the favor. We all deserve better when it comes to our public safety and our infrastructure, and I'm the candidate to help you do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So before we get started, because we can't see your names and they're not all in alphabetical order, We know that. Thank you so much. I ain't even have to ask. Thank you. So that kind of helps us. And Mr. Austin, if you would kind of turn yours just a little bit. Thank you. So now, without further ado, we want to go ahead and get started with the questions for this evening. We do have 9 candidates, and we will ensure that everyone has the same number of questions. And again, you may not have the same question, but you will equally have the same number of questions and have an opportunity to respond. So we are again accepting questions from our in-person audience. They will come to us via index cards, and there are color cards for those that will be brought up. And we are accepting questions from our virtual audience, and those will be sent to us as well. And so one of the questions that I have from our in-person audience deals with to read the question, and then I will ask the candidate. The entire city council has been bad stewards of public funds, but only the mayor has been singled out to be forensically audited. And I'm not going to ask you the bottom half of this, but I'm going to say, are you in favor of the entire council being forensically audited? If so, why or why not? And I'm going to ask this question of Ms. Glasgow. And each of the candidates has a minute and a half to respond to the questions, and there are no comments about another candidate's question or response from a candidate. Ms. Glasgow.
Didn't think I was gonna get the first question, but as you said, you always have to be ready. So this particular question is something that I've done extensive research on and understanding. So in my role, I deal with compliance. We have to start with a forensic audit of everyone. Let's just say that, get that out the way. And the reason being is because we have consistent demonstration that we have several policies that are in place with no countermeasures to demonstrate if they're actually being followed. So when you do an audit, a forensic audit of everyone, what you are identifying is, are we actually using the funds in the way that they're supposed to be used? And most importantly, not only are you using the funds the way they're supposed to be used, do you understand the policy in which it is tied to? The thing that I want to make sure that I make clear tonight is, in city council, we have a major responsibility with 100% legislative authority. So that means that when we think about the budget that goes towards the city, the budget that the city council has for their district, we want to make sure, and I want to make sure that those informations are transparent and available in an audit. I want you to wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and say, let me see what the jar up here doing with this budget. What has she done? That's transparency. So when we remove it and only focus on one person and focus solely on the mayor, how do we determine that with all efficacy that we are doing everything we're supposed to do? We cannot. So we must do it of everyone and ensure that we identify the policies that are either broken or need to be put in place for better safeguards.
Thank you so very much. I believe you played Simon Says. Stop me.
This is the big chair.
Next question. How will you work collaboratively with existing city council members to move the city forward and ensure alignment with the city's strategic plan? This question will go to Mr. Aaron Johnson.
Okay. So thank you for the question. One of the things that I would do is develop a relationship with each one of the council members. Working with council members outside of the council meetings is the best way to do it. We have coffee sometimes, we talk about nothing sometimes. I give them an opportunity to meet my grandbaby that's in the back. She's enjoying it right now. What we would do is something that I've already done. As a member of the Board of Registration and Elections, we all work together. We have Republicans and Democrats on that board. And two of the things that we always did is we did a retreat, which I know people hate that word, but we did a retreat that gave us an opportunity to talk about the things that we wanted to do and to hear things that the other side wanted to do as well. So we could do that. We can also do like the zoning board of appeals, which I served on as the chair for 7 years. We did a refresh every year. Every other year, rather, I'm sorry. We did a refresh every other year where we just sat down and we talked about what we're supposed to be doing, how we're doing what we're doing, and what we need to do better. Those are just a few things, and it develops a camaraderie between the people so that we can all work together, and it's not what you see on television all the time.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that response. So we'll move into the next question. And the next question is, what plans do you have for working with the mayor and council? And what changes would you plan to make for improvements of the city? And this question would be for Ms. Webster. Should we call you Webster or Webster Lewis?
You can call me, Lewis, actually.
Lewis. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. You have to be collaborative. I would work with each council member as well as the mayor to establish a relationship first, because without a relationship, it's hard to collaborate. We have to be able to disagree, but not be disagreeable. So we have to treat each other with respect. So that will be the first thing. You have to model what you want to see. You have to be the change you want to see. So I will be respectful of my colleagues on council. I will be respectful of the mayor. While it is a strong council government in the city of South Fulton, that does not mean that we should disrespect our mayor, because that's the face of the city. That's who represents the city, whomever the mayor is. But that is who represents the city. So you have to be respectful of the position, even if you don't like the person. So it's about being collaborative, cooperative, collegial, professional, and pleasant if you can be. But I'm a people person, so I don't think I'll have problems getting along with the other council members or with the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. So the next question is, if elected, what will you do to ensure transparency and accountability in city government? This question will go to Mr. Alexander.
First of all, we all know that there's a transparency problem here in the city. It's not just in the district, but it's all over the city. But what I would do, we're living in a world of we have data available everywhere, and there's no reason that we're not transparent with so much data everywhere, right? So, the first thing that I would do is create with the rest of the city council people and create a city app, a modern city app that you can. I know everyone can't use it, but our seniors can't use it because we have something to do for the seniors as well. But a modern city app that actually every time we pass something, or every time we move a budget, every time we do an ordinance, every time we do a resolution, that can be put on that app. That we have people like a community on the app, almost like a Facebook, right? That people can all go on. You can report, top hold. You can do the business permit. You can do all that stuff, but mainly we'll have a transparency page. I know we have a transparency page right now, but it only showed the mayor being arrested. That's the only thing we have on our transparency page. So I had to call into the city to have that removed because that's just not. That being transparent is not all about the mayor. It's a question that you just said a minute ago. So what I would do is make sure that everything that we do on the council is seen by our citizens of our constituents. That's what I would do. I wear that out.
Thank you very much for that. So the next question, how would you use your legislative authority to improve the access to affordable housing for residents? And this message will be for Ms. Duff.
Hello, can you hear me? Am I able to stand? I didn't know if it affected the camera. It's good?
Oh, it's good.
So can you repeat the question? Sorry.
How will you use your legislative authority to improve access to affordable housing for residents?
Well, one of the things that I would like to do, because I'm also a realtor by trade, is understand what our position in the region. I've had the honor of working with the Atlanta Housing Authority, and my background also is in advocacy. I am a marketing communications person for Atlanta Volunteer Warriors Foundation. And affordable housing is one of our pillars, as well as Southern Poverty Law Center. But legislatively, one of the things I would do is look at models of excellence that already exist in our region. We don't have to reinvent the wheel here. There are already best practices that have been enacted around the country. And one of the first things I would do is identify what those are, and I will bring them to our council and let us evaluate them and see what will work best here and implement them here. At the end of the day, we have a flourishing community. Many people move here. We have one of the fastest growing areas in the region, but affordability is a problem for young people who want to stay in the region where they grew up. So I'll make sure that I come up with programs like down payment assistance, which I did with COSF when I was in DeKalb County. I'm going to bring those successful practices here. Things that provide a pipeline and opportunity for people to be homeowners. Education is also key to make sure they're able to retain their home. So from a legislative standpoint, I would like to implement things that will make that possible for young professionals, incentives to do so. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. The next question. District 2 has 1 park and 2 commercial areas. What is your plan to expand on both areas and park and retail? Excuse me. It says adding. I apologize. Both adding a park and retail within your first term. Let me ask the question again. District 2 has 1 park and 2 commercial areas. What is your plan to expand on both adding a park and retail areas within your first term? This question will go to Ms. Stephanie.
I have some big plans for this city. And one of the things I considered was our commercial development and how it fits in line with our culture here. I researched something called village hubs. And these are not like grand, big pavilions. These fit in line with what we have now. So if you look over at Sandtown Crossing, it would look like Sandtown Crossing, but the only difference with a village hub is that it would have green space and it would be anchored by homes like senior villas or townhomes, which would keep in line with our community culture. We can put these in different places in District 2, including Palmetto area, 92, and Wolf Creek area. So we can expand at the rate that's appropriate for our condition right now and don't have to overdo it or have some state of the art type of place for people to go to. We can make commercial that starts off practically and that we can scale bigger if we need to. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that response. So the next question. Behind closed doors, the decision has already been made regarding the millage rate cap. Would you sponsor legislation to repeal this act? And would residents be wrong to challenge the action in court? And this question is going to go to Ms. Treadwell.
So let me first and foremost say, as it relates to the millage rate cap, it's an ideal protection for us, the residents. I recognize that somebody who is very familiar with millage rates, my candidates up here who are familiar with schools, they understand how important it is. What I will share with residents is that the people always have the power. And while we can pass the legislation or repeal the legislation, it's imperative that our voices are heard. As a growing density city, there are ways and things that we are going to have to be prepared for. And that includes some of the things that this current council is looking to build. The training center, the fire police headquarters, all of that. But what we know is the people have the power. And while this legislation does matter, and while I am opposed to removing the millage rate cap, there are a number of reasons. But the first is, our residents right now are in a season of distrust. And for me, it is about giving the people the power to make the decision with the information and with people they trust. And so I think what's important for me is this moment is an opportunity for us to not only read the room, but know that the people will follow you, they will make the decisions, they will understand the directions, but not in this season where we have so many transparency issues. And so for me, while I am vehemently opposed to removing the millage rate cap, there's just still work to rebuild that trust.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Treadwell. Next question. Given the current state of District 2, what is a policy, practice, or vision of the current District Two council person that you'd like to carry forward? This question will go to Mr. Ken Austin.
Can you ask the question?
Sure. Given the current state of District Two, what is a policy, practice, or vision of the current District Two council person that you'd like to carry forward?
As a practice and the vision is to continue with working towards the infrastructure. There's a lot of traffic congestion that is on the lives within the borders of District Two that the community members have spoke out against and spoke for the need to immediately have a plan for those things to be rendered and move forward with that. So with that being said, I think just listening to them and moving their ask forward with the infrastructure, addressing that immediately, I think that's my first. That would be my first practice.
Thank you so much.
So there is the current budget for 2025, budget was $295 million for the city of South Fulton. The proposed budget for 2026 is $431 million. That's a $136 million increase. Specifically about 46%. What is your position on the budget increase? Are you in favor of that? If so, why? And if not, then why not? And I'm going to ask that question of Ms. Robinson. Connie Robinson.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that question. As it relates to the budget, no, I am not in favor of that because right now our country is in such a flux of disarray. People are losing their jobs. Taxes, some people are being taxed out of their homes. We really have to think about the people and what we can do to be a better service to them. To jump our budget up as high as it is, I think is not something that we should be doing at this particular time. Yes, it's nice to get new buildings, but at the same time, how will we be able to pay for them? If things change, if we remove the millage cap, if we have to raise the taxes. These are things that we have to think about. We have to look forward. That cost that we've been told to build those buildings, is that just for building the building? What about everything else that comes along with that? When I look back at the 2025 budget, the amended budget is what is out there now, and it's $40 million more than what the initial budget proposal was. So even though we have this proposed budget now, is it going to change later? Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that response. Next question is, what is your vision to diversify employment opportunities and businesses in South Fulton, especially for young professionals and small businesses who need spaces to operate? Now I'll ask this question of Ms. Johnson, Stephanie Johnson.
Thank you. So first, let me say that we've been talking a lot about data centers and warehouses, and I found an alternative to it. The alternative is what they call logistics tech facility. And these logistic tech facilities are not unfamiliar to Atlanta. They hire these Atlanta is known as like the transactional king because of its proximity to Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson. And so we're even closer to Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson. So we can afford logistic tech facilities. Now, let me tell you what they do in these logistic tech facilities. They have software, they have robotics, and the purpose is to make sure that your delivery gets from point A to point B. This is not a warehouse. This is not a warehouse paying job. This is a job that will pay you more than a warehouse will pay, and it won't have the same implications or detriment that a data center or a warehouse would have. I think also, when I talked about village hubs, a number one priority with village hubs is that it attracts small businesses. It attracts even bigger businesses because of the way it's shaped. The developers are held responsible for green space, sidewalks, drainage, lighting, and that would bring great companies into our city.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So the next question. How will you build support? How will you support public safety, city services, and city leadership and build the trust between the residents? And this question is from Ms. Dowell.
I like this. Okay, can you hear me? Push it all the way up. There you go, ready?
So the question was building trust with the public safety arm of our government, is that correct?
How will you support public safety, city services, city leadership, and build trust between the citizens, the residents?
I love this question. It is my knowledge that we now have Dr. Cedric Alexander with us, and I remember working with him in DeKalb County. And so one of the most important things and aspects of my background is storytelling. So I tell a great story to attract, retain, and expand services and businesses in municipalities. So I look forward to working with him to make sure those success stories are amplified and connected throughout the region. There's so much that is told about our city that makes the media that is always negative. That impacts our property values. We need to be transparent. We need to be clear as citizens about what's going on. We also have to have a balance of what's good. And I'll challenge you. If you go onto any of the news networks and pull up our city, you're not going to get the balance of good. And there is good. And so I will make sure that I communicate that with the cities, with the citizens. So this is the part of the work that I love. I'm already doing that work by connecting with residents, listening to them, learning from them, and building a plan. So on day one, you can expect me to go. That is my commitment to you. So that is, I'm committed to this area of business because I've done this work before. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Our next question. Our police department has not always been seen and projected in the best possible light. What will you do to ensure that our lower ranking officers are being treated fairly by their superiors and eliminate the negativity and nepotism at the top? This question will go to Pennye Robinson.
Thank you for that question. I think that we really need to look at our staffing and get certain positions filled that we do not have filled. Right now, we do not have an HR director, it's my understanding. We need to have people on staff that our officers or our employees, period, can go to in confidence and share what is going on when there are issues, so that these issues can be fairly investigated, whether it's some type of equal employment opportunity office or some type of, well, I know we have internal affairs, but it needs to be a neutral department that they can trust so that they can freely talk about what their concerns are. We want to keep our staff. We don't want people to run away because they don't feel like they're being treated fairly or they're being taken advantage of or abused or feel like they're not being heard. So whatever we can do to get other staff in place to oversee these type of roles, I think will work in our best interest. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to say the next question is, what is your point of view on where the downtown district should be for the city of South Fulton, and what should it consist of? This question is for Aaron Johnson.
Thank you for that question. Of course, I think it should be in District 2. Without question, it should be in District 2. One of the things that I think that when you look at the various parts of our city, I think you can put different things in different areas. Everything doesn't have to be in every single district. That makes us one city. If you think about it, our Publix is right across the street. It's in District 1. I know Dr. Rao knows we go over there all the time, but I actually live in District 2. So to have a city center in District 2 would be amazing. Of course, the obvious place would be somewhere near the Wolf Creek area. Or you would have to then go back and look at how much land the city owns, how much land the city can acquire in order to build this city. To build this city center. We have to look at traffic. We have to look at some of the infrastructure that's around the area to assure not only that we're just putting it there, but it sustains itself while it's there. And so I look at places like Brookhaven, who used a very innovative way of doing their city hall right over a MARTA station in the middle on a Peachtree Road. And you look at how Sandy Springs built their city center and made it an amazing facility. And they both did it around 10 years, and I think we can look forward to doing it as well.
Thank you so very much for that. I must admit, the Brookhaven thing was blinding my eyes. They put up, if you know anything about it, they put up the glass there. So I'm very familiar with that. The next question is, what is the most pressing policy needed for District 2? And this question will go to Mr. Ken Austin.
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Yeah. What is the most pressing policy needed for District 2?
Right now, transparency. And transparency doesn't mean letting the public know or letting your constituents or community or the people in your city know what you think they should know. It means answering their questions. It doesn't mean putting something in writing and give it to me and I'll respond to you later. It means answering my questions. You work for me. I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve you. So transparency, that is by far the number one thing, number one policy I think should be in.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So the next question, what are your thoughts on what needs to be done to improve crime in the city of South Fulton? This question is for Mr. Alexander.
Thanks for the question. To improve crime, first of all, we need good leadership. We need good leadership across the board. From city council to, every time we look at television, we see something from city council, something from our mayor, or even something from the police department. So it starts with good leadership. Here we are, one of the most affluent cities. Look at us, look at all of us, look at everybody up here. Very intelligent people, over 90% African American in this city. We can do it. We point at other cities and we say, hey, we blame, non-African American cities for not doing certain things in our community, but we have the power to do all of this stuff. So when we're talking about policing, and me being a Black guy, you guys know how that is in the country, we have the power of our whole police department in this beautiful, productive Black city. So we have to get the right leaders there. We have to get the right leaders across the board. And it's going to take District 2, it's going to take the whole city to vote the right people in so we can make sure that we hold everybody accountable for the city, starting with us and the police.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we're going to move on to the next question from our online audience. So what is your vision to diversify employment opportunities in businesses in South Fulton, especially for young professionals and small businesses who need space to operate? Ms. Lasso.
Thank you for that. Okay. Thank you for that question. So HR, I think this is probably the most suited person to answer this question, but diversifying our businesses are going to start with looking at how we are attracting businesses and also what our policies are for our business permits and what they're applying. Right now, we need to make sure that we have ordinances that will actually invite opportunities for that talent to come into our cities, because right now it is a little bit stringent on businesses wanting to come in. We do have some things in place where it allows only certain facilities to be within competition, but we also have some areas where it is oversaturated. So we really need to look at, one, where can we strategically place these retails? We have a land use plan. We could look and see, like, where's the mixed retail opportunities at? Where is all of these opportunities for large hubs or retail hubs to come in? But most importantly, staying within the scope of my responsibility with city council is making sure that I'm driving an ordinance and creating a resolution that is inviting and makes the business permitting process smoother, as well as increasing as far as whatever abatements that they're able to get. And while I have 30 seconds left, I do want to add that one of the most important things is it's not a part of my role, but I will champion to ensure that our city manager is working very closely with economic development so that they are targeting the areas in which we need to improve upon. Not only looking at it from an economic development process, we have to understand we are a suburban area. We need a lot of urban planning to be put in place so that retail understands our makeup and what the model of our city is.
Thank you so very much. Next question. The city of South Fulton has been faced with several lawsuits, primarily concerning the police department, but to include former finance director, open records violations, independent investigations, policy changes. How would you, as a representative, ensure that the city is not spending more of its earnings on lawsuits rather than taking care of its citizens? And this question is for Ms. Lewis.
Thank you for that question. Well, first of all, knowing the role of a council person is to legislate, is to develop policy. So it's to inform policies that we work with as city manager to make sure that all of those things were in place appropriately, because we don't hire, we don't fire. We do supervise the city manager along with the mayor, but those activities are covered by the permanent full-time employees. We are there to create opportunity by creating legislation that facilitates those things. And that's what is my job as a council person.
Thank you so very much. The next question is, what are your opinions and plans to boost public transportation throughout the city? And this question is for the Straightway.
Okay. Can you hear me? All right. There are a couple of ways I think we need to boost public transportation here in South Fulton. But before we can do that, we also first have to make sure that we have the infrastructure that allows for that. There are a number of roundabouts, for example, that we have. And to the point that we can't just be looking backwards, we've got to be looking forward. So part of what we'll need to do in order to ensure that we've got public transportation is look at it from a regional approach. South Fulton is not here on an island alone. There are 8 neighboring cities, College Park, East Point, City of Atlanta, all of these neighboring cities. And it's going to take collaboration and pulling up to the table and not asking others what we think we should do, but pulling up with a clear plan and taking the voice at the table and saying, let's make sure we're solving all of our problems, as opposed to making sure that we're solving one problem at a time while creating other challenges for our neighbors. I think it is incredibly important when we look at infrastructure and transportation that we're making these suggestions and these solutions with a much more regional approach. We've got partners like Aerotropolis, like the ARC, that have done great transportation studies, and we know what we need. The question is, we have to have a respectable voice at the table that folks will listen to, so that when we say this is what we need, it isn't perceived as a joke. And so for me, that's what I would do, make sure it's a regional approach so that we all can have an easier commute.
Thank you for that. So next question. When facing budget shortfalls, will leadership commitments to making the deliberation process be transparent and public? Ms. Dowell.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So the answer is yes, I do believe in transparency, particularly when that is concerned. One of the things that is not lost on me is that there are far more citizens that are engaged, many of them here that I have spoken with and interacted with, and they have ideas on how to make our budget stronger. This is not a role that we stand alone. I think that's one of the things that is happening. People think the role of a city council person is an individual one. It is not. Transparency is key, and how we work with our citizens is key, because those are where the solutions happen. So if I'm answering your question, you're asking if transparency is vital when there are budget shortfalls. Absolutely. There's unequivocally yes. And the other thing is, before it even gets down to that, there are steps, each step of the way, if we can keep citizens informed, that's very important. There's nothing to hide here. This is our tax dollars. And I know that, like you, because I'm a citizen of Bruce Brain, when I manage my budget, you know, in our household, we have to be transparent with each other so that we can have a solid foundation. In your job, we have to be transparent with our budgets and our jobs, right? So this is no different. So whether we're doing well with our budget or having challenges with our budget, I do believe transparency is key. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, our candidates, notice that there is a small delay when you turn the mic on. So just give it just a second once you turn it back on. The next question is, have you attended a city council meeting? And if so, did you attend before you decided to run for office? And this question is for Mr. Ken Austin.
Can you hear me? Yes, I have attended a city council meeting. I've attended several. And that kind of nudged me to go ahead and run. Because the last meeting I attended, it was a group of people that had hired a research company to do a study for them not to bring a warehouse at the back door of their subdivision. And the city council and the people that were owning and trying to put a warehouse in that location had brought their own people too. But that community, they showed out in numbers. They tabled their vote. However, I showed up for the next one, and they voted 8-0 for that warehouse. 8-0. I was outraged, as well as the members of that community of that subdivision. And that shouldn't happen. We are elected to carry the voice of the people that elect you. So, in voting for me, trust and believe I am going to be the liaison and the representative to carry your vote and what you desire to the city council, period.
Thank you very much. So the next question. We often discuss schools, jobs, parks, policies that attract young adults and families. But what about our seniors? What policies do we propose to support seniors so that they can thrive at an age and place? This question is Mr. Hemmings.
People are hurting. It's not just our seniors, but our seniors are pretty much at the helm of the pain. And like I said, I come from sales, and what I'm talking sales is to find the pain, find a solution for it and solve it. But when it comes to our seniors, they're left behind. We have a national government, a state government, and even a municipal government that's not worrying about normal middle class people. I don't care if you make $50,000 a year, $35,000 a year, $150,000 a year, you're probably check to check, and you cannot afford an emergency. If you cannot do it, and you're going to work every day, they definitely cannot do it on a fixed income. So one of my biggest policies are for seniors. Whatever we can do for seniors, they have problems with trash bill. Some of them don't even know where to go to pay the trash bill. You know, they're having problems with taxes. They're worried about the millage rate. They're worried about, these are our legacy people. And so what I will do, I'll listen to them. Interpersonal communications, like I said, that's where I come from. I come from listening and I come from acting, so yes, seniors, we're here because they're here. I mean, the only reason we're here is because we're our seniors. So they're really important to me and I hope you guys can see that. And if you vote for me, I definitely make sure they're number one in this district.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alexander. The next question is, please outline your strategies for expanding the restaurant industry in the city of South Fulton. Everybody's always complaining about having to go north of I-20. So how can you ensure that people can stay a little south of I-20? This question will go to Aaron Johnson.
So for me, the way you go after restaurants is I'm a little different. I know people like to say, I want you to go after this particular restaurant. I want you to go after that particular restaurant. I want you to go after this grocery store. I wouldn't do that. I go after the people that want to come here. I like restaurants, mom and pop restaurants that can open up, be sustainable, and be able to cater to us as opposed to us begging somebody to come down here and open up a restaurant only to take our money and then go back to wherever they came from. If you look right now, I'm the chief of staff for the Atlanta City Council president. And one of the things that goes on in the city of Atlanta is there are developments where all of the restaurants, all of the shops, everything are small businesses that people can come in and open up and then thrive when they open up. People, if you go to Lee and White, you go to a couple of other places around the city of Atlanta, and you don't even have to go that far. You can go to Peachtree City, you can go to Fayette, you can go to Douglasville. They all have restaurants that you don't see everywhere. And that's because these people want to be in the community that they're in. And if they want to be there, then they will cater to you and you won't have to. And that can be our strategy for getting people to come down here, make it accessible for people who want to be here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So the next question. There are growing concerns about environmental and economic impacts of rising development of data centers. What is your position on the long-term impact of data centers? And this question is for Ms. Webster Lewis.
Thank you for that question. To be honest, I know that there are concerns, particularly in District 2, about data centers that are being built and what impact it's going to have on their utilities. While there was a meeting that was held at Walden Park with Greystone saying that they're on a separate grid, it shouldn't impact, but there's already reliability issues. So I'm as well as concerned about that there's going to be consistent services for the residents of the district and the city, because the data centers do pull a lot of energy and there is environmental impact. So we have not been, the information on what level of impact that is have not been shared. And I think we need to inform the community what impact will be and what we have to be concerned about so that we can ensure that everyone feels safe and that these data centers will not impact them in a negative way. So I think it's an information requirement that we need. We need more information because we don't have enough to really make a informed decision as a resident. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. The next question, if you are not elected, what is your plan to move District 2 forward in the next 5 years? This question will go to Ms. George Rager.
So I'll answer that question a couple of ways. One thing I will not let my foot up off the gas on is we need our own 911 center. We have got to be faster for our residents. It is literally a matter of life and death. It's a personal mission of mine. It is also important to me. It is the emergency center that is going into Union City. Building the building won't solve our quality of life issues. There was a study from Morehouse a few years ago that said if you lived in South Fulton, you were shaving off 7 years of your life. That's because we don't have walkable places, we don't have bikeable places, We don't have places where our community can actually do the work to thrive. And so for me, that is what I am most passionate about. And so regardless of who sits in that seat, that's what I'm holding myself accountable for. That's what I'm holding my representatives, current and future, for. And if I'm elected, you can trust that I'm going to make sure I keep your quality of life at the forefront. Because when we have that, we all thrive differently. Thank you.
In your hand. Next question. Thank you so much for that response. There's been questionable spending and a lack of financial oversight by officials. What is your position? And this question would go to Ms. Stephanie Johnson.
Now, could you repeat the question one more time for me?
There's been questionable spending and a lack of financial oversight by officials. What is your position?
My position is that that can't happen. And you can't just say that can't happen. You have to put safeguards and structure in place so it doesn't happen. And I think that that needs to be the priority of city council and city hall, making sure that there are infrastructure or there's infrastructure in place so this type of stuff won't happen. We know it's happening. We've seen the news, we recall it. And it can't happen anymore. And the best solution for that is structure and accountability.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for that response. This next question is, in your opinion, what is going well in the city? And this question is for Ms. Roberts.
Thank you for that question. In terms of what is going well, I would say that right now there's so much negativity that it's hard to really focus on what is going well. And I think that we really need to change that narrative. And as we can work better together as our council, as our leaders, even as our staff, we can change that narrative because we have a great city here. I think we have a lot of people here that love living here. And I think we can do better if we take the negative energy out. And if you do have it, don't put it on display. We can learn to respect the position, as I think it was mentioned earlier. We have to learn to respect the position, even if we don't necessarily care for the person. But we're here for business, and that's what we have to remember. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question. What are your top 3 initiatives? This question is for Ms. Lasser.
Thank you for that question. Thank you for that question. First things first, priority for me is going to be looking at how we deal with transparency. I think everyone on across this panel has discussed that the necessity for that to be here, it needs to be put in place. But what do I mean when I say transparency? I'm talking specifically about how you access information and how that information is communicated and what type of automation is put in place to ensure that the transparency is happening. So that's my first priority. Second priority is looking at how for District 2, we can develop our area when it comes down to retail opportunities, diversified talent opportunities for whether it's a young person or a senior wanting to go to work. And I know that too well because my mother lives with me and she is eager to get to work, but it is too dark for her to do so. So public safety is in tandem with that economic development. The third, I think everyone has experienced or seen far too many accidents that are deadly and detrimental. We must immediately put in a policy so that we can begin to do an audit of what our regulatory lights are and to make sure that we are driving the public safety in our area and not just focusing on 1 or 2 things as far as sidewalks. We do have to increase what that development looks like and what that public safety looks like at the same time to ensure that we are moving our district forward. And the last piece that I want to think about, well, I know that I'm thinking about is development. We are seeing on every corner a sign for houses that are coming. But have we made enough to make sure that these homes are being with safe with safety and materials that are guarded for us to be living with.
Thank you. Thank you for that response. So the next question. What is your 90-day plan, Mr. Austin?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Please restate that question.
What is your 90-day plan?
My 90-day plan is to start running, to go ahead and get the community engaged and involved, putting in policies, practices, I'm sorry, not policies, putting in practices to let my community know and my district to know how to assess me, make sure you communicate with me your needs, the things you desire, the thing you desire as far as the infrastructure, what do we need to fix, what do we need to tackle, how can I be of assistance to you? Tell me and let's get this done, right? I know that in our district, and not just in our district, in South Fulton, there are a lot of intelligent, beautiful people. This is an amazing city. However, there's challenges when we don't know how to get access to stuff, how to go about doing it, right? And when we ask, we don't get those questions answered. So in 90 days, I plan to be accessible, be vigilant, and to answer all your questions and to push your agendas and your desires, and answer all your questions as soon as I take office within those first 90.
Thank you so very much for that response. The next question is, how would you support environmental regulations monitoring? The environmental committee for the city, for the entire city, has been on hiatus for possibly over 2 years. So better question, or let me repeat, how would you support environmental regulations and monitoring? This question will go to Ms. Dowd.
So one of the things that's important to me is making sure that our city is a model of excellence. So one of the things that is not lost on me is that we are 8 years old and we are operating where I feel in a good place. However, there are best practices, again, all over. I know this for a fact because environmental justice is my background as well, but I was with Southern Poverty Law Center. I'll say this, one of my first orders of business when it comes to that is to look at the heat map, examine where the problems are, right? We have a lot of beautiful green space, part of which is why people are drawn to this area. But one of the things that can potentially threaten that are certain types of businesses that can have implications. To your point about data centers, we're hearing from groups telling us that there's a closed loop system with water, substations, buffers, all of that. But I do know that having done my research in other areas, that there could be environmental implications. So one of the things I would first do is look at the data. At the end of the day, there's no coming in like a bull in a china shop. It's really looking at where things are today, seeing where the opportunities are for improvement, and working with residents that I have seen in city council meetings that are very active and engaged when it comes to environment, to pull them in, listen, learn, and develop policies inspired by what they know, as well as other subject matter experts. That's where the real business begins.
Thank you. Thank you for that response. And so the next question. Are you a strong proponent of the weak mayor, strong council concept? Why or why not? This question will go to Mr. Alexander.
Thanks for that question. No, I'm not. And the reason I'm not is because government has been working for us. You know, somebody needs to be held accountable for this city. We have a city council, yeah, you know, but clearly we've had a city council that's more powerful than our mayor. And that hasn't produced the results that we should have, being the second revenue, the second city with the biggest revenue in North Georgia. So no, I don't. I think the mayor needs a little bit more, you know, a little bit more responsibility. Because from what I know in business, you can't go when something goes wrong and point at the whole department and say all 5 of them, it's their fault. You're going to go to the head of the department, right? So yeah, I think that we should look more into that, and we can do a lot better.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So the next question. What is your agenda for the next 4-year term? This question is for Ms. Webster Lewis.
Thank you for that question. And you're asking me what's my agenda for the next 4-year term, correct? Okay. I honestly hadn't thought about the 4 years, but I want to be transparent and honest with you. I wanted to first win your vote because that's important to get started. But one of the first things that I would do would be to make sure I'm accessible to the constituents, not only during the first 90 days, but for the entire 4-year period. Have frequent communications with community on every platform that's available, whether it's social media, next door, town halls, meetings that subdivisions have in their clubhouses. I work for you. Since I will be retiring in December, I can do this full time. People say it's a part-time job. It really isn't. It is a full-time job to represent nearly 15,000 residents. You have to be on the ground, ear to the ground, accessible, visible, and listening for what you want. You have to tell me it's not what I think is the best thing for you. It's what you want for your community, what we want our community to look like, and to be a part of the city, a bigger plan, to make sure that we're one South Fulton, definitely District 2 focused for me, but to help our district and our city be reflected the way it should be. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Webster Lewis. So you mentioned being one South Fulton. Clearly, there have been some issues, understanding that we are one city and not individuals in the city. How do you work with all of the council members and the mayor to ensure that South Fulton moves forward and not one district moves forward? This question is for Ms. Joy Trey.
I think there are a number of ways. It reminds me of my favorite movie, Drumline, One Band, One Sound. One of the things that I know we're gonna have to do in South Fulton is we have a lot of great things happening in segment. It's also something I see in my daily work in school. We got lots of different departments, everybody's growing, but we're not all growing in the same direction. So I think the first part of this is to get people to understand and to work with the city council and to work with my residents and to work with the mayor to ensure that we are all rowing this boat in the same direction. Because for every road that we take in different directions, it comes at a cost. It costs our residents, it costs us money, and it costs us valuable time. And those are all things that if South Fulton is going to be the city that we remain proud of, we're going to have to make sure that we do a couple of things. One, take some of the segmented approaches and make sure that they're aligned to the strategic plan. If it doesn't move our strategy forward, do we actually need to be doing it now? The second thing is we need to do a real close look at how are we using our resources. That's people, time, and money. And is that also moving us forward in a way that is actually going to help us reach our goals? I'm about metrics, I'm about results, and there's very little gray when you can come in that space and say, yes, we hit our target, or no, we didn't, and here's why. So for me, it's about taking those resources, analyzing them, and making sure they're aligned.
Thank you so very much. My next question, the current city budget is at $295 million. The projected budget for 2026 is $431 million. Again, that's a 46.1% increase. Do you agree that this is a good use of government and tax dollars for the city of South Fulton? And I'll ask this question of Mr. Aaron Johnson.
Thank you. So a couple of things we have to look at. It's more than just a bigger number. It's what they're doing next year. It's a lot of the 2 new facilities that are coming online, a lot of things that weren't paid for before that are going to be paid for in the future. So whenever you look at a budget, you have to look at every part of that budget. You don't just look at, oh, this was the big number that was there and there was a 40% 46% change in that number. And I can go back to my time as the vice chair of the Board of Registration and Elections. Depending on the type of year, if it was, say, 2024, our budget was tremendously larger than it was in 2023, almost 3 times as much, simply because we had a presidential election that year. And the year before, we had just half the municipal elections going on. So it cost us a whole lot more to operate, even though we were the same department, we were the same people. We had to double the number of people in our office. So what I mean, the bigger thing is make sure you look at what that increase is and not just whether or not that number was increased. So based on what I know of what the city is going to be doing, I'm okay with that.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna ask the same question of Ms. Stephanie Johnson. And same context, $295 million budget in 2025, 2026, $40 to $31 million, 46% increase. Can we afford to live in the city of South Fulton?
I think that that's a huge leap. That's a very huge leap. And I understand that we need a police headquarters, and I understand that we need a fire training station. And I have nothing against that because public safety is premier in any city. But I think that we should scale it. We should scale it so it can grow. Because what's happening now is it's inflating our budget, and it's inflating our budget with bonds that aren't backed by anything right now, which is why the banks, the lenders, are asking that for leverage, we lift our millage rate cap. And I think that that gets into dangerous territory. And if you pull back the reins a little bit and do it in a smart economic fundamental way, you won't have to have a budget that is 46% more than the last budget.
Thank you for that response. So the next question. What is the single most important issue for District 2 residents? And how would you address it, Ms. Lansett?
When I've spoken to several residents in District 2, I've heard 2 consistent things come up. First being development, as far as developers and how things are moving in our city. And secondly, actually, where is our city going? What is this area going to be? What do we want it to be trajectory-wise? And I think one of the first things that when addressing this is understanding that we have a lot of development that is coming to District 2. I think everybody, I've said it before, you can't go anywhere without seeing that there's a new home that's going to be built. But what you don't see is that are these numbers actually matching the density and support that we need in this area? Are we creating havoc to where it is going to overpopulate Westlake once again and we have to look at redistricting? Are we also considering the traffic? I mean, congestion is constantly coming up in this area. And one of the things that I brought up before was our lighting structure and how traffic lights are already operating. It's small, it sounds like a small thing, but it is a major thing when you think about the infrastructure of a city, because you cannot ensure that you have a safe city and talk about economic development, talk about infrastructure, talk about all of these things, and you're not considering all the pieces in the puzzle. And one of the biggest pieces I feel like is right now we need to look at how we're looking at developers when they're coming into our city and what those things are going to be brought to us.
Thank you so very much. And in keeping with that same tone of infrastructure, we talked a lot about the increase in the budget. One thing that we haven't really touched on is walkability in the same context of infrastructure. Do you have any plans to make the city more walkable, Ms. Robinson?
Thank you for that question. And yes, as we look at our health and our lifestyles, we definitely need more walkable communities. And so as we look at the land use plan and where we can put certain spaces, retail, housing, or whatever, we need to work with our residents here to determine what is it that they want. We need biking trails, biking routes, and things of that nature to kind of help
make our community more accessible and more walkable. And that will hopefully get people outside of their doors so that we can get to know each other better. And I think that will also help with our safety as far as crime. We are the eyes and the ears of our community. When the police come in, they don't know no more than what we tell them. But as we begin to get outdoors, we can do more things again to try to thrive as it relates to our healthy lifestyles, as well as getting to know the people around us and get back to the village concept. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that statement. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get into our close. You just heard from 9 of the candidates seeking to serve the citizens of the city of South Fulton. I want to reiterate something that was mentioned very early. Each candidate was asked the same amount of questions, so I don't want you to feel that if anyone was not asked a question. And all of them, they may not have been asked the same question, but each of them were asked the same amount of questions. But let this be known that if elected, the council person will serve a 4-year term that will begin January 26th, ending December 2029. All of the qualified candidates will be on your ballot in November. Today, the future lies in your hands. If elected, the future of the city of South Fulton lies in their hands. The elected official of the city of South Fulton District 2 will have influence and a vote on proposed legislation that will impact your livelihood for years to come. As a constituent and voter of the city of South Fulton, it is our hope that you will use your vote as your voice and feel confident after this evening to elect your next City Council District 2 representative that will deliver smart, fair, and equal representation citywide.
And having said that, we're going to go into our closing statements. And so we're going to do this in alphabetical order by last name, and each of the candidates will again have 2 minutes to share their closing statement as to why you want to be the next city elected official. So we're going to begin with Mr. Alexander.
First, I want to thank everybody for your time tonight because it's really, really important that y'all are here. And thank you all too for doing this for the community because it's really needed. I know I didn't get a chance I wanted to answer some of the harder questions tonight. And I never got a chance to mention that I do work for OpenAI, for ChatGPT. So when we talk about data centers, I don't want us as a Black community to be superstitious about what data centers can bring. I'm not for them at all, but we should be telling them where to go. We shouldn't be sitting here waiting on them to come pick the cheapest piece of land in District 2 or in the whole city. So what you do with data centers, and I know you talked about the logistical facilities. We need sidewalks. You tell them to give us what we need. And what we do is we create if you have Fulton Industrial Boulevard, the whole district over there is the biggest industrial district in the Southeast United States, right here in our city. So we need to go to the next level in that area, and we need to make that a green city, a green area to where the infrastructure is already ready for these data centers and these warehouses to go. We don't need these places near our homes or our schools. And it's up to the city council and it's up to our city to make sure that these places go where they need to go. Yes, they can be zero emissions. They are like that in Missouri. They're like that in San Diego. They can be like that here, and they don't need to be close to our home. But we can make the most money possible off of these data centers. We have to tell them what we want and what we need. So one thing about me is I'm able to put it all together. We have pain coming from the national government. We have seniors that need help. We have college kids coming out that we have AI taking their job. So what are we going to do as a city? How are we going to do it a lot legally to get to the pain and help our constituents? That's what it's about. Forget a pothole. We need to help our constituents get.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, we'll hear a closing statement from Mr. Austin.
Can you hear me? When I decided to run, it wasn't about a campaign buzz or a certain political platform. I am not a politician. Now, it was about the responsibility to listen to the people first, to put the needs of my neighbors over the noise. I'm not running to advance a personal agenda. I am standing for the people of District 2 who deserve a councilman that treats their concern with seriousness, urgency, and respect. We've heard too many promises from personal gain and political activities. To the voters that are here watching tonight, I've heard your voice. Do something about the traffic and congestion. Do something about the economic opportunities and development. Do something about ensuring the quality of life of the elderly. No more warehouses in my backyard. No data centers in my front yard. It's not on them anymore. It's on you. Your voice, your vote. We can do better, South Fulton. We can do better. Vote, Dr. Ken Austin.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna next move on to Ms. Zell, if you will give us your 2-minute closing statement.
Again, my name is Araba Dowell, and I look forward to being your next South Fulton City Council District 2 representative. I am so excited about this job. I don't have to wait until November or January to do it. I'm doing it right now. I've already started meeting with government officials, listening, learning. I've already started my superpowers connections. So one of the things that I did is I started looking at employers who are looking at the state, and I've already have a few of them that are looking at our region. And they're examining the area, seeing where it's vital before we make any moves. So the reality is those companies are rooted in tech and innovation. So my platform is fresh, future ready, experience, smart and healthy solution. And I manifest that by making connections with corporate executives who are decision makers when it comes to bringing higher wage jobs here. So you don't have to rely on data centers and warehouses alone to generate revenue. I want walkable spaces. I want this to be an area where our children will want to leave once they graduate high school and college. And I have the experience to do it. I have the economic development experience. So I know what site selection consultants look for when they look at a region, because I've been in the rooms. I have those relationships. At the end of the day, you can know a lot of people, but it's really about who knows you, who trusts you. I am transparent as a leader, and I'm a servant leader. I'm very active with the homeless population, with youth. I've been a board member and active volunteer with Save Kids Georgia, Best Buddies, you name it, Atlanta Mission. I'm more than just a leader at the top. I am a roll your sleeves up type of leader. My background started with my parents. They're educators and they are contributors to society. And right now I'm trying to do the same. So November 4th, I implore you, make the fresh choice. Vote Araba Dowell for your next representative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Glasgow, 2-minute closing statement, please.
I want to start off, as I did before, thank you all for coming this evening to be informed voters, to understand what's going on. And I appreciate you for taking that time, whether in person or online. What I want to say is, why am I the one for this job? I want to be very clear. Priorities first, I understand, I analyze, I interpret, and I look at the information that's presented, and I know how to give it so people can understand. Right now, we are in a state as a city that where we are moving forward on plans, and one of us, likely myself, will inherit a plan or a budget that we did not agree with. We must become a bonded city before we start making large progressive moves like we are about to do. Because it inherently not only affects our budget, but us as residents and taxpayers, we will continue to carry that budget before we can see a residual income on whatever is being built. And when you understand the mix and what the city model will be and needs to be, that tells you right now you need a person who understands what is being said. Our CFO has already said to us, we need to diversify and increase the revenue that is coming into the city. We need to increase the streams of income that is coming in that city. That does not say we need to increase bonds and build things so that we can grow the city. What we need is someone who is able to get ready and be active and proactive with it. I'm not saying this is an easy job and it's going to be an easy job by no means, but I grew up in a Baptist church and I had two praying grandmothers, and what they instilled in me is that what God gives to us and gives to us, we can have. And I understand that, and it has always stuck with me. And I want to tell you that if tonight I earned your trust and I told you that I am, and I feel like I'm the best qualified candidate for this role, you've got to go with Glasgow. And if you want to continue this conversation afterwards, please see me in the back so we can talk a little bit further.
Thank you so very much. I thought her name was Glasgow, but it's Helen Baylor. So we'll have closing remarks from Aaron John.
All right, good evening. Thank you again, Damita, for putting this together. It was very well put together to give an opportunity for the people of South Fulton and District 2 to hear from the candidates that are vying to be the next council person for District 2. Thank you to all of you who came out tonight. It shows how engaged you are. It shows that you want what's right for our city. My name is Aaron Johnson, and I'm running to be your next city councilman for District 2 because I believe in the promise of South Fulton. I believe that this is an amazing place to live, and we can work together to make sure that we move this city forward. I believe that I'm the best person for this job because of a couple of things. My government experience. I have 30 years of government experience on all levels. I've worked as a district director for a congresswoman. I've worked as the chief of staff for a Fulton County chairman, and I'm currently the chief of staff for the city council president for the city of Atlanta. I also have a commitment to our community. I've served as the Westlake PTSA on the executive board. I've served on my HOA. I've served 8 years leading as vice chair of the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections. And I've also served 7 years as the chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the city of South Fulton. So I didn't just start working 3 weeks ago. I've been working in this city since before it started. I was one of the ones that helped push the city to be the city that it is and make it better than what it is. But I go to church here in this district. My wife is a teacher at Westlake High School as well. My son is a 9th grader at Westlake. Everything about us is District 2. My name is Aaron Johnson, and if you make me your District 2, if you elect me, I will make you proud.
Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson. We'll have 2 closing statements from Ms. Steph. No relation.
It might be.
So my dad has been a builder and a contractor for as long as I can remember. And I remember him saying that you have to build the foundation properly or else we're wasting time and money. And he was serious about that. I heard him say it several times until it latched. And I didn't know quite what he meant until I got a little bit older and I realized, wow, that does not just apply to building and construction. It also applies to building a city. And the city we're faced with right now, our infrastructure is weak. And that's why we're seeing all this chaos take place above it. We need to tighten our infrastructure so that we can build upon the infrastructure and have a city that is sustainable. Now, I'm running because I have 3 plans to make that happen. Fiscal responsibility, that's the first one. City Hall needs to be accountable for the taxpayers' money that they are stewards of and the millage rate. The second one is safety. We need to be making sure that we take care of our vulnerable populations, and that includes kids and seniors. And I'm very serious about that because if you look at the demographics, especially in a place like District 2, we do have a lot of seniors and we do have a lot of young families, and there are dangerous roads and we don't want anything to happen to them. And the third is smart growth. We need to grow in a way that fits the culture of District 2. We need to make sure that rezoning and zoning is something that occurs and our voice is heard. So vote for me for our kids and for our seniors.
Thank you so much, Ms. Johnson. Next, we will have Ms. Lewis.
Again, again. Again, thank you all for coming. It is very important that we all remain engaged in voting. I am Pennye Webster Lewis, and I am your candidate for progress in the city of South Fulton and District 2. For me, we moved here, we selected this city when we moved back to Georgia. When I lived here before, I lived in Gwinnett, and that commute into downtown Atlanta was horrific. So when we came back here, we selected South Fulton, a city on the rise, and we were excited about being a part of something new. We're 8 years old. We have growing pains. We need to come together, work together to uplift our district and our city. We have streets that we can't walk on. Going out trying to visit our community, it's not safe to walk on several roads, not just Union. You can't walk down Stonewall Tap. That's an accident waiting to happen for a pedestrian or a cyclist. So yes, we have infrastructure needs. We have big fish to fry. I have led at several levels of government. I've been in the military, leading soldiers, leading battalions, leading troops, as well as working across departments to work with people to make things happen and accomplish the mission. We need leadership with integrity. We need leadership with purpose. We need leadership with a vision, and we need leadership that will listen to the voices of the residents of the district. I am here for you. I would like for you to vote for me. So vote for Pennye for progress and for growth in District 2. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. We will next hear closing remarks by Ms. Pennye Roberts.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for coming out. I desire to be your next city council member for District 2. As I said, I've come from Washington, D.C., but I've brought skills and talents with me. I have had boots on the ground since I've gotten here in terms of working on behalf of the community. I have a passion for the people, and I am here to serve, and I have been serving. I have been at those council meetings, not just when I decided to run. I actually lost my husband back in March of this year. And so I had to do some soul searching and decide whether or not this was something that I really wanted to take on, because it's a sacrifice, and so you really have to be committed to this. They say it's a part-time job, but it's a commitment. And so you have to give it a full-time commitment in order to work on behalf of the people. As I said, I've been at the council meetings, I've spoken up at the council meetings, I've talked about the sanitation. Actually, our collaboration group did a study as it related to other municipalities and the types of sanitation services they provided, whether sole source or free selection would have been a better choice. And we provided that study to our council members. I've also fought for millage rate rollback. I fought for budget cuts and things of that nature. So I've been here, I've been serving, and as your next council member, I will continue to serve, speak to the people, hear from the people, because this is not my place, this is our place. And I need all of you to help, to have a voice, so that we know what direction we want to go in. We don't just want the leaders at the table that we selected to make the selection. We, the people, have the power, and we have to have representation in place that will speak on behalf of the people. And that's what I plan to do if you make me your next council member for District 2. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Robinson. Last but certainly not least, we will tread well, Joe.
First and foremost, I want to appreciate everyone up here, including my co-candidate. This work isn't easy. It's hard work. What I anticipate, though, is it's going to be some of the most rewarding work of my lifetime. And that's hard to beat as someone who has done amazing things with kids in the city, right here at Sandtown, at Westlake, at Banneker. But what I know is this work doesn't stop with us. It starts And it begins with each of us because we're also residents of District 2. I often share that I think of myself as a bridge. My parent went to segregated school. I understand what it means to both be situated in the future while standing on a firm foundation that is a legacy that is both rich and full. And as someone stated earlier, we've got growing pains. But those pains are not the end of our story. I'm running for your city council. I'm garnering for your vote because what I know to be true is I have a clear plan to make sure that we do a couple of things. One, that we take our residents' word and we actually put them to action. They talked enough. It's time for us to show up and do our part. The second thing is that I intend to make sure that we build strong regional partnerships, that we have a reputable voice at the table, and we lead how this region gets shaped. The third is that we build and increase our quality of life. We talked about walkable cities. We talked about making sure that we have strong infrastructure. But what it means is that you get to enjoy your neighbors just a little longer. And that for me is the most important thing. So vote for Joyce.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard from 9 candidates that are vying to be your next city councilman. 9 qualified candidates who really want to serve you. And so I'm going to leave you with some important dates. And starts here. The last day to register to vote is October 6th. Advanced voting begins October 14th and runs through October 31st. That is early voting. Election day is November 4th. If there's a runoff, that runoff would be December 6th. I'm sorry, December 2nd. The registration deadline, the advanced voting dates for the runoff will be November 24th through the 28th. You only get 1 week to do early voting if there's a runoff. Again, runoff election day is December 2nd. And so as a resident of Fulton County, a resident of the city of South Fulton, as a resident of District 2, you owe it to yourself, your neighbors, and your families to help elect officials who have your best interest, who can be held accountable, who will be accountable, not only to you, but to your neighbors, to your community, and who will strive to develop and govern one of Georgia's largest cities. And so I leave you with this in closing. Know before you go. Be an educated and informed voter. Know who is on your ballot. Know what is on your ballot. Know when to vote and know where to vote. And most importantly, exercise your right. That is it. That is all we have to deliver to you this evening. And I'm going to turn the forum over to our host for this evening, Mr. Chatman.
Thank you so much. Okay. First of all, I want to thank my guests. You want help with it. I want to thank my guests for coming. I want to thank the pastor of this house. I want to thank the elected officials. I'm not Jack. I want to thank my husband for always having my back. Let me say this. I did do it Tuesday night because I had to go look at a calendar. So I want you guys to pay attention to this, and I'm going to put this out too because I'm going to rest this weekend to save the date. If we go in the runoff, and we're going to go in the runoff because there's too many in the race, we're going to be honest with you. The mayor's runoff race will be November the 12th. Here at Decision Point from 7 to 8. Form, I'm sorry. Sorry, y'all be saying debate, I be saying debate, it's form. District 2 form will be November the 13th. From 7 to 8. Why 7 to 8? We have 2 candidates. We don't have to be here all night. So save the date, I will be putting that out. I will be putting out the other room when we do the form. But first of all, I want to thank the residents for coming. And expression and giving their concerns. So I think we should give not only the candidates a clap, but we should give the residents any elected. Before I turn it over to the pastor of this church, I sent an email out to the candidates and I'm expecting and hoping that you do what I asked. All candidates know and they tell me, when I said emails only, they emails only. Well, why do you do emails, Damita? Because I always have a paper trail what I say. So nobody can ever say I said anything. I always have that paper trail. This will be out on all social media outlets. Every outlet. So just look for it, we put it out. And then now I'm going to turn it over to the pastor of this church. Again, give him he's just been wonderful. And I want to thank him.
We're so thankful to be able to invite you to share in this place. We've talked from the beginning for over 9 years now about building a community to serve the community. And this is really what it looks like. It's not just about Sunday morning at 11, but I would love to see you come and visit. Even though this church is in District 1, you can come from District 2 to this church. And we have some people from District 2 that come. I know we got some people that from District 1 that go to church in District 2 too, so that's okay. When I served with a mission board, we talked about trying to break down silos. How is it that you break down silos? That you begin to metric across all the different departments and all the different territories that were set forth. And it's important, but it's also important that we not only break down silos, but it's important that we not let anybody look down upon us because we're young. And so you can't have somebody mentioned a Baptist church, but can't have a Baptist preacher he not quote scripture.
Hello. Well.
So I'm not going to preach, but I'm just going to read this scripture to you, and I'm going to let the Holy Spirit speak to your hearts about it. It's from the Old Testament. It's in the book of 2 Kings, chapter 22. I will make a couple of comments on the scripture, but I can't lie. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign. I remember somebody saying that this city is what? 8 years old. And he reigned 31 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Jedediah, the daughter of Adaiah. And he did not, here's the important part, y'all. And he did that which was right in the sight of God and walked in all the ways of David his father and turned not aside to the right or to the left. 8 years old. Did the right thing because he had the right example. Right. We need community standards that set the example at 8 years old. Father, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for these that have set themselves forward as candidates for this council seat in District 2. Father, I pray that even as they set themselves forward, the talents that you've placed within them, the giftedness, the experience that you've given to each one of them. Oh, we know only one person will be in the position. But Father, you're not finished. You not told them to sit down and not to do anything else if they're not the one. So, Father, I pray that you would give wisdom to the electorate. And then, Father, I pray that you would give wisdom to those that are elected, so that we might go forward and do that which is pleasing, even as we're in a church house. Do that which is pleasing in God's eyes. Now, Father, we thank you for this evening. We pray your protection as we go down from this place, and that you would be with us, even over this holiday weekend. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Candidates, let me say, we're going to take a group picture, all of us going to take a picture, if you don't mind, before you leave. We're going to take a picture, and we're going to take a picture with the moderator. Sure. So what would you like?